compact Cadillac. To some, that'll make as much sense as a big Mini, but actually, if you're looking for something a little different in the compact executive BMW 3 Series size class, Cadillac's BLS represents a rather interesting and alternative choice. You won't have heard of General Motors' Epsilon platform, but you may be familiar with some of the cars that sit upon it. Vauxhall's Signum and Saab's 9-3 both share the same basic underpinnings as this compact Caddy, and the trio share a lot of internal parts as well. Now, that being the case, it's impressive that each of them has such a very different personality. This BLS is very much US of A. It's also an important car for a brand seeking to establish an identity in Europe, an initial stepping stone to Cadillac's larger and more homegrown CTS and STS models. In addition, it's the only car that Cadillac has made in more than 100 years of production that you can buy either as an estate or with a diesel engine. An important model then, as I said. The engineering underneath the car is all tried and tested GM fare, and that means that you get a choice of 2-litre 4-cylinder petrol turbo engines putting out either 175 or 210 brake horsepower, or if you want more, there's a 2.8-litre petrol V6 that punches out 255 brake horsepower. For the eco-friendly among you, there's even the choice of a 200 brake horsepower version of the 4-cylinder turbo unit that runs on E85 bioethanol fuel. The diesel version that I'm trying here is served by a 1.9-litre direct injection TID turbocharged engine that puts out either 150 or 180 brake horsepower. And a diesel, of course, is a first for Cadillac. Even the 150 brake horsepower version makes rest to 60 in just 9.3 seconds. But it's the in-gear acceleration times that really show the torque that a diesel engine has, and these are hugely impressive. They've been slashed dramatically with this engine. The 1.9 TID's powertrain includes the most advanced diesel particulate filter on the market, enabling Euro 4 emissions compliance, and that's a must for company car drivers. On the road, well, it feels very much like a Saab 9-3 or a Vauxhall Signum. Not the sharpest steer on a twisting B route, but totally at home on the kind of main road terrain or motorway mileage that makes up this type of car's most likely preferred habitat. The exterior design is distinctive with a wedge-shaped profile, and you've got interesting design touches like these vertically stacked headlamps and tail lamps. There's also a V-shaped motif to the front grille and the front number plates around. The crease along the car's hip line looks sharp enough to slice prime rib. And if you go for this wagon estate model, you'll find that the vertically stacked rear tail lights, the high-mounted stop lamp integrated into the rear spoiler, and these alloy roof bars are all also sharp design touches. Unlike many cars that campaign in this sector, the estate version of this Caddy offers some serious carrying capacity. You've got 419 litres with all the seats in place. Fold the back seats down and you've got 1,273 litres. So it's okay for luggage. What about people? Well, the interior is certainly a cut above the usual American fare. There's often a disappointing sensation of getting into a cheap hire car at LAX when we sit in an American import, but this BLS has a clean, if not adventurously styled fascia. As long as you don't have any unreasonable expectations when it comes to price, the BLS's sticker should hold no nasty shocks. It sits in the same £20,000 to £30,000 bracket as most compact executive cars, but one nice touch is that you'll pay the same whether you go for the saloon or this wagon estate version. Now, where this car's interesting is that it dives straight into a market niche, somewhere between the mainstream brands and the prestige marques. Now, it's an area of the market that Saab have been trying to exploit for some years along with their Swedish counterparts Volvo, and now Cadillac find themselves joining the fray. So will the BLS merely cannibalise sales from its Swedish stablemate Saab? Well, probably not. The sample BLS buyer is probably a little bit less extrovert than the Saab customer. And if you like the radical, edgy lines of this Cadillac, then you'll probably be slightly younger than the traditional Saab demographic. Every BLS comes with premium equipment like leather trim, heated and electric front seats. You've got this 11-speaker Bose stereo system, DVD satellite navigation, a hands-free Bluetooth phone setup, cruise control, dual-zone climate control, park distance sensors, and the StabiliTrak vehicle dynamics control system. It's built in the same Swedish Trollhättan factory as the Saab 9-3. It uses the same engines and running gear as a Saab, even many of the same fixtures and fittings. Surely the running costs would be pretty much the same. Well, that ignores one key factor: brand equity. And the Cadillac leverages a small but perhaps important advantage over the Saab when it comes to residual values. It may only be a couple of percentage points, but on a £20,000 to £30,000 car, that's worth knowing about. And fuel economy? Well, as you'd expect, it's especially good in the diesel versions. The 150 brake horsepower 1.9 litre D model manages an average of around 46 miles per gallon. And in a way, it's quite satisfying running a Cadillac and spending less on fuel than you would in a Ford Ka. Now, emissions, well, they're not too far off small car standards either, with this particular variant returning 159 grams per kilometre of CO2. As you'd expect, the petrol engine models don't fare quite as well, especially if you go for the 2.8 litre V6. Insurance ranges from Group 15 for the entry-level diesel to Group 17 for the 2.8 litre V6. Buying a Cadillac is never going to be a mainstream choice, and that's exactly the way that most potential buyers would want it. The BLS offers a high-tech option to Volvo, Saab and Jaguar alternatives, if not to BMW, Audi and Mercedes, thanks to its shared Cadillac underpinnings. It proves that there's a place for the marque in this country, and it also demonstrates that it needn't be financially ruinous to run a car that's smart, modern, distinctive and different. Although this turbo diesel model stretches the branding to the limit, it's nevertheless the pick of this particular bunch and gives entry-level diesels from Audi, BMW and Mercedes something to think about. If you're fed up with the usual suspects in the compact executive sector, here's a welcome alternative.